My 27M partner wants to escape our 5-year relationship, citing financial woes while I've paid most bills. You only maintain the status quo, he insists, unaware of his half-hearted contributions. Will our love survive if he can't see past the numbers? So as the title indicates, my relationship is coming to an end, and my partner is being rather confusing about it. I am documenting my thoughts partially to organize them, but I also want to seek advice on whether this complicated situation is worth fighting for. I believe it is, but as someone who is passionate and dislikes leaving things unresolved, I wonder if I am being irrational. I hope this does not violate the no yes no questions rule. I am just struggling to articulate my feelings. There will be extensive background information here, so I apologize in advance. I just need some perspective on this chaotic situation. Summary of context. I earn significantly less money than he does. However, I pay for most of our essential expenses, yet he continues to see himself as the provider. Summary of situation. My boyfriend wants to end our relationship, citing financial issues, but I suspect he is actually frightened of commitment, and I am unsure if I should continue trying. Context. We met 5 years ago on Tinder, initially with the intention of a friends with benefits arrangement. About a year later, we decided to start a serious relationship. Although there was a prior attempt when he needed time and space to consider if this was what he truly wanted, this situation has recurred. He moved in with me after a severe disagreement with his parents. During the first year, he was the only one employed while I was studying full-time. He was studying part-time. After that year, we moved to a better apartment, and I began working while also receiving financial assistance for rent from my uncle. I am one of the fortunate few whose family supports them with no strings attached or, in this case, with strings that align with my aspirations. I am a contemporary artist coming from a long line of professional artists. My family takes this tradition very seriously, and I do as well. My uncle has pledged to support me as long as I pursue my artistic career. They have high expectations for my success. My partner is a programmer, and his family's values differ greatly. While I cannot determine the extent to which his issues with me stem from his father's outlook on life versus his own philosophy, I believe these influences are interconnected. He is primarily focused on finances, seeking a work-life balance that allows him to work as little as possible while still earning a substantial income. Currently, he earns 3 times what I do, including the financial assistance from my family. Despite this, for the past 3 years, I have been the sole person covering rent and most of the groceries. He contributes to the food costs and pays for any luxuries, primarily takeout. I have deemed this arrangement fair since I would have to pay rent regardless, so I might as well help him save money, as I would struggle to save much on my own. Financial issues. I mention this because finances have been a recurring point of contention. He was severely affected by that first year when he was the only one with a job, which caused him considerable stress while I was not contributing regularly. It seems he cannot forgive me for that year, as he repeatedly brings it up despite the fact that he has not paid any rent for over 3 years. He also managed to convince me that he has been supporting us, even though I was responsible for our rent and food for 2 years during that time. He believed this because he was stressed by his toxic job which he was afraid to leave, and because he was overspending on takeout. I did not keep track of that money as I trusted him to budget it. After all, he is the math whiz. He blamed me, and I believe he still does, for remaining in that toxic workplace for too long, worrying that without his financial contribution we would struggle. I covered the entire rent and half of our food expenses. The irony is that he was not saving money for our survival in case he had to quit his job without securing another one first. Instead, he was saving for a trip to Japan. We live in Europe, and just the flight tickets alone cost more than our monthly rent. Once the job became too unbearable, he quit, and I supported us. His contributions from his savings amounted to a ratio of 1:8 compared to what I provided. I accepted this arrangement, even though I felt frustrated that he could travel to Japan without me while I was paying for nearly all our living expenses. Now he has found a job that pays him nearly double what his previous one did, and he contributes about 1/3 of our monthly budget. There was one month when he came close to matching my monthly contribution. I was defending my master's degree and needed financial support for prints of my photographs. He paid for them, and I reimbursed him the following month. The remaining expenses were necessary because I work as a teacher, and September is typically the leanest month for me. I should note that I still covered the rent. I cannot count how often the circumstances of September have been thrown in my face as evidence that he contributed equally to our budget. The main arguments were centered on that September and on the fact that he was overspending on takeout. Takeout and other luxuries were the only categories where he paid 100%, and I trusted him to be reasonable with those expenses. I was also willing to reduce spending anytime, but he would assure me it was fine. Ultimately, it turned out he had been unreasonable, and I should have been more vigilant about his financial decisions instead of trusting him to set a budget. When I expressed concern, he stated, "I don't want to say no to you." How is one supposed to navigate such a scenario? I feel resentful about this situation. Of course, I could have desired less, but he reassured me it was acceptable. I just wanted to trust that this was not my burden to carry and allow myself to relax. This part of our problems is more understandable. The issues of mental load and financial fairness can be addressed gradually. Our other problems can be categorized as follows. Disagreements regarding financial issues. An overwhelming emotional turmoil. Disagreements regarding financial issues. I have outlined our financial situation relatively clearly. He earns 3 times what I do, including familial assistance, yet he contributes less to our lives to save for a future home, trips, etc. I would like to outline some problems. This is not to vent, but rather to illustrate the issues we are facing. He does not recognize how much time and money he saves by me covering our rent and handling household responsibilities. Every time we discuss his savings, they are solely viewed as his savings, not ours. They are for his future home or potential gifts for me. I had to spend an entire evening calculating to demonstrate that the laptop he purchased for me for Christmas actually came from my contributions to his savings. He cannot let go of the belief that he is the primary provider. On the most generous occasions, he contributes 1/3 of our budget. He remains fixated on that first year. I understand it was extremely challenging for him, but I feel I have done my part. I have been paying higher rent for 3 years, for goodness sake. Claims that if I earned more money and worked more hours, he would assume more household responsibilities. However, I do not think he realizes how much time it requires when the chores need to be completed daily, not just on selective weekends. I have agreed to take on more household duties because I work fewer hours, but I wonder, given that I already contribute more toward our living expenses, why would my earning more money and contributing equally impact his responsibilities? He believes that his payment for takeout is equivalent to me paying rent. There are 2 elements to this argument. 1, even during the busiest months, his contributions were less than the rent, and 2, the responsibilities differ. We can always resort to eating instant noodles or eggs when I am too busy, tired, or unwell to cook. However, we cannot forego our water bill. Financial reasons that leave me feeling insecure. There are 2 statements he makes that give me pause, and I cannot discern if they hold any truth. I have my counterarguments, but please consider them and let me know if I am being selfish, lazy, or unjust. The subreddit forbids moral judgments, and that is not what I seek. Rather, I need a reality check, and hopefully I am still grounded. The statements are, I do not contribute to our future. Well, yes, in the current situation, I cannot save money and lack creditworthiness. He says, and I quote, you only maintain the status quo, you do not attempt to improve it. I suppose there is some truth to that. We live in a place I can afford alone. If we split the rent 50-50, we could reside in a larger or better located apartment. I could potentially earn more money, and I am actively working on overcoming my anxieties related to job searching. But it seems he expects me to fully support us while independently improving our living conditions. It is my uncle who supports us, not me, and thus I am not reliable. This statement stings the most, and I am unsure if it is true or if my self-esteem is simply low enough to be affected by it. He holds the belief that family only assists if there are strings attached and that one should always be entirely self-sufficient. If not, one may find oneself unprepared if family support ceases. This perspective disregards the reality that circumstances can change for anyone, leading to difficult situations regardless. I believe we should appreciate the help we receive. I still cover grocery expenses, and I am working on my art, which is why my uncle provides support. It is not merely to let me live comfortably, but to continue our family's artistic legacy. I doubt this actually matters to him. The funds are available and come from me, so he does not need to worry about it. I have discussed this with my friends and father, seeking their advice, and so far everyone is as baffled as I am regarding the issue. Clearly, there are no genuine financial difficulties. He earns so much money that in 2 years he will have enough for a home loan down payment, while many young people can only dream of owning their own place. While I support us in the meantime, we have enough for food and occasional outings. He even flew to Japan. I do not find any logic in this, other than a deep-seated resentment toward my family's support and the fact that I work fewer hours while he adheres to a typical 9 to 5 routine. Does this all make sense? Am I missing something obvious? Am I being unreasonable and unjust in asking him to accept that I am supported specifically so that I do not need to work many hours? Emotional mess. He seems to be seeking an escape from our relationship, which leads to a series of inconsistencies, some of which are not even financial. For the past 4 years, he has repeatedly told me that he loves me, and if we could skip the party, he would even marry me, etc. He has done many loving things. It is easy to focus on the problematic aspects, but he has also been very warm and caring. Many of his expressions of affection revolve around gifts, which may require the least effort from him, yet last year he began putting forth more effort. He created a mini Dungeons & Dragons campaign for my birthday that served as a conclusion to a story featuring several characters I had played at his table. He takes this hobby seriously and does not half-heartedly execute any of it. He is an incredible game master. That was an immense effort. Last Christmas, he bought me a camera for which I had been gradually saving. It was not inexpensive and certainly not a casual gift like dinner or train tickets for a weekend getaway. It is not something you give to a friend. And yet he claims that he does not know if he loves me or not. Apparently, he never did, but he previously chose to ignore those feelings. This realization seems to have emerged around the time he had the major argument with his parents and moved in with me. He engages in behaviors that demonstrate affection while simultaneously expressing sentiments that suggest indifference, if not hostility. He has provided numerous reasons why we should end things. The most sensible arguments revolve around our financial situation, which is why I provided such detailed context. Still, they are not entirely sensible. That is why I need external perspectives that are not influenced by my friends or therapist. He discusses our future and supporting one another, but appears to overlook the emotional dimensions of our relationship. He acts as if our partnership is merely a business arrangement. The comfort and love I provide seem to serve as obstacles. He literally stated that my expressing affection for his body has undermined his motivation to exercise and lose weight. He does not perceive that my happiness and fulfillment contribute positively to us. However, there are other complications as well. During that ill-fated trip to Japan, he developed feelings for a girl he traveled with alongside his friends. This caused him to spiral into a crisis. He confessed to me I was not angry, although I felt a twinge of sadness. We maintain a form of open relationship where a threesome is possible. I have expressed multiple times that I do not wish for us to have separate partners. I want us to always be together, and I am open to having others with us. He did not want to cut off contact with her. Soon, he began pleading for a fully open relationship and even grew angry when I refused. It all ended only when she informed him that it would never happen. Mind you, he did not seek a threesome. He wanted a side relationship after years of adhering to a specific set of boundaries. Then there was an incident involving his father which contributed to our situation, and he moved back home. I do not want to delve into the specifics of that incident, but he did not need to relocate. He claimed it was to support his family, yet he scarcely spoke to his mother for the first 2 months. His father is fine and healthy, by the way. After that, conditions worsened. He became anxious and depressed, started taking significant doses of antidepressants, and claimed he lost interest in Dungeons and Dragons and did not wish to see his friends. He stated that spending time with me felt like a chore, and during this time the reasons for ending our relationship started to emerge. Besides the financial concerns, he began citing issues like, "You are more radical politically. What if in 20 years I want to have children? Or what if I develop another crush and begin questioning everything again?" And other irrelevant hypotheticals, as if these issues could not be gradually addressed rather than waiting for another crisis. Well, perhaps except for the children issue, but that is quite a stretch. He finds children extremely irritating. He began making many hurtful and callous comments, interspersing them with real issues to make them more painful. When asked about his feelings toward me after hours of evasion, he claimed to feel the same as he did before his trip to Japan. His crush has dissipated, and he is fine in that regard, yet he still wants to terminate our relationship for reasons that crumble upon closer examination. He does not appear to be mourning our relationship, but when we said our goodbyes before cutting off contact for a month for my mental health, as this situation is affecting me severely, he cried. I do not understand. He feels the same as when he professed his love for me, but he is uncertain if he truly loves me. He wishes to end things for reasons that are not genuinely problematic or easily resolvable. He has told me that he struggles to form relationships. Prior to me, he experienced a severely toxic situationship. His feelings for the girl on the trip were also rushed and unusual. Only our relationship began slowly and securely, despite our unorthodox circumstances. I see two possibilities. He has been dishonest with me for the past 4 years, using me as an escape from his home life, remaining out of habit, and then began acting erratically, making an effort buying expensive gifts, while he states that he does not actually love me. He has an anxious avoidant attachment style and has developed cold feet at the thought of alternatives. My question is, am I viewing this clearly? Is there anything besides years of therapy that I can do to assist him with his attachment style? He is very slow to engage in self-analysis, and it takes him an excruciatingly long time to reach any meaningful conclusions. Story 2. After dating my 21M boyfriend for just 2 weeks, he confessed to being raped by his dad. I supported him through panic attacks, but just days later I discovered he'd cheated on me. You mustn't be that interesting if he cheated on you, they said. Was it all just an act? Hello, I am a 23-year-old female who had been dating a 21-year-old male for 2 weeks until 3 days ago. We initially began communicating in a literature Discord group, and at first he assumed that I was a boy. Admittedly, I tend to be quite a cautious person on that platform, so I did not correct him, thinking that nothing significant would come from it. Nevertheless, we found ourselves conversing every single day, and a month later he confessed his feelings to me. As a result, I decided to be honest with him and informed him that I was a girl. Initially, he chose not to accept this information because he identified as gay. He felt betrayed that I had concealed my gender from him for a month. I understood his feelings and was okay with remaining friends, but a few days later he changed his mind. He told me that although he is gay, he has always felt some attraction to women, he just had not found the right person. Therefore, he felt comfortable moving forward with me. Given that our feelings were mutual and he communicated this to me, I agreed to start dating. Fast forward 8 days, he was raped by his own father. This is where everything became strange and intense. I tried to support him as best as I could. He would call me at night experiencing panic attacks, and he would also sleepwalk. To clarify things, I will provide a timeline. April 6th, we become a couple. April 7th, a normal day. We bicker lightly when I playfully question who the new guy he is following is in hindsight. He became strangely defensive, but it was a different account. April 8th, his responses begin to dwindle. April 9th, after some coaxing, he reveals to me while crying that he was raped by his father. April 10th, I convince him to speak to his mother after he experiences a panic attack and sleepwalks. Here are the reasons why I have doubts about April 8th and April 9th. April 8th, before the day began, we were on a sleep call from 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. his time. We have an 11-hour time difference, but for the sake of convenience, I will use his time zone. I checked in with him around 1 p.m. asking what he was doing, and he stated that he was busy doing house chores. He did not text throughout the day, and at 7 p.m. he finally mentioned that he just woke up from a nap. At 9 p.m. he was working out, and by 11 p.m. he wanted to go to bed. April 9th, it is unusual for us not to have a sleep call, so I already had a bad feeling about the situation. We were only able to talk around 8 p.m., and finally he confessed that he had been raped by his father. Apparently this incident occurred the day before. However, it does not make sense to me because he was supposedly doing house chores at 1 p.m. and napping at 7 p.m. If it happened, it must have been between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. April 10th, during a sleepwalking episode, he sends me a coherent message. My friend informs me that someone who is sleepwalking cannot type coherent messages. For instance, if they text while sleepwalking, it would typically consist of random words or jumbled letters, whereas his message was composed of proper sentences. I respond, and then he has a panic attack, calling for his ex-boyfriend named John. This hurts me, to be honest. Nevertheless, I push through and help him calm down until he arrives home. April 11th, I board a plane to travel to another location to take my entrance exams for a Doctor of Pharmacy program. Before boarding, he texts that he is about to commit suicide, so I hastily purchase plane data, but he does not reply. April 12th to April 15th, there is limited contact and he remains depressed. He tells me that his depression is due to the trauma of being raped by his father and that he needs time to recover. April 16th, I discover that he is cheating on me with another guy. I communicate with the guy, who tells me, "You must not be that interesting if he cheated on you." If I had low self-esteem, that comment would have affected me. They both choose to stay together and the other person does not leave my ex. After that conversation, I block both of them. Details regarding the cheating. Apparently, they started communicating 2 weeks ago. So the chances are they got together before we officially became a couple. I asked him if there was anyone else involved, and he said no. Because of this, I am beginning to question whether the rape incident is merely an excuse to end our relationship. After blocking him, he reached out to my friend and yelled at her for my decision to cut him off. He launched into a lengthy rant about how he treated me well and how he intends to retaliate by using another account to catfish me. When asked if he discussed the cheating with his boyfriend, he replied affirmatively, stating that his boyfriend is fine with it. They continue to make derogatory comments about me, suggesting they are out to get me. In summary, I feel both hurt and confused because If you intended to cheat on me, why did you agree to date me? If you were raped, why are you seeking attention elsewhere? You must not be that interesting if he chose to cheat on you. Ultimately, I am just confused, to be honest. Can anyone provide answers to the last three questions below?